Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of NoHandoutsTV, where we bring you a closer behind the scenes look at our band, our creative process, what makes us sing, if you will. I'm Kristin, I play the bass. I have a background in music and journalism, and I'm finally putting them together to bring you artist interviews. It's kind of a way for us to all learn about artists inside and outside of our local community that we love together. No Handouts wants to use our platform to lift others up and just offer an avenue for voices to be heard. And for this very first segment, I had the pleasure and the privilege to interview the one and only Radkey. Formed during childhood in their St. Joseph, Missouri home, the members of Radkey have been all about the music from an early age. After landing a supporting slot for a Fishbone gig, they made the trek to New York to record and release their first ever EP, Cat and Mouse, on Rec Room Records in 2012. The release catapulted them into an ever-growing career as they went from playing local shows to supporting top-billing acts and securing slots at large-scale fests like South by Southwest in Texas, Afropunk in Brooklyn, and even Download Festival in the UK. Radkey's signature brand of electrifying riffs, shout-worthy hooks, and raw, unbridled energy has left heads turning and toes tapping for years, and it doesn't seem like they're planning to stop anytime soon. Without further ado, Radkey.
I am Isaiah, and I am 25. I play the bass.
I'm Dee, and I am 27, and I play the guitar and lead vocals.
I'm Solomon. I play drums, and I'm 22.
Cool. So, you guys have obviously been playing together for a while. What was it like to be performing at such a young age?
It was pretty wild because we're homeschooled, so doing anything was kind of crazy. So let alone like being on stage playing in front of people. So it was pretty crazy starting from such a young age because our first show was with Fishbone, and that was like a really big kind of lucky thing. It was a nice big show to start off with, and it really kind of kept us going. And yeah, it's been an interesting life, very interesting playing shows.
So how is it, how did you get the Fishbone show?
A band actually dropped off the bill, and our dad hit them up, and they didn't ask how old we were or if we had a show or anything. So we just got booked on the gig, and we were able to luckily play that. And people took us seriously from then on because we had that under our belt, so they knew that we could perform a real set.
That's fair. That's also awesome. So how would you describe your music personally?
We would usually describe it as like rock music, like pretty much straightforward rock music, and in the way that like the Beatles are kind of like a rock band, like you could just do whatever you want, and that's kind of what we've always lived by. Like we've been called punk before, but I feel like that's only because back in the day we only really knew how to write fast songs, but as soon as we learned how to write big songs, we started writing those big songs. And yeah, so pretty much just like a rock band is what we call ourselves.
I know that you guys have mentioned kind of like rejecting false rock. Can you describe what false rock is?
False rock is something that's just like by the numbers rock, like rock for people, rock that's been out there long enough to make people, to convince people that rock isn't a cool thing to listen to or play, stuff like that. You know, bands like Creed and all that kind of stuff.
Oh God. Fair.
So, basically show that rock can be interesting and fun. You can dance to it. It can be heavy. It can be all kinds of things. Not like erase all of that false rock that just is just misleading and just terrible and not fun to listen to, honestly.
Speaking of misleading, is there any like misconceptions that you feel you hear people say about you guys, about your music, or like anything about your band?
Yeah, back in the day, like, you know, people would be like, you know, we don't want to book you guys because we don't book rap groups or whatever, and that was only St. Joe and whatever, and they never listened to the demo, blah blah blah. But one of the things that typically pisses us off is that people are always like, you know, they wear their sleeve, blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, what the fuck about bands like Greta Van Fleet that sound exactly like fucking Led Zeppelin bullshit? Go fuck yourself with that. How about that? You know what? Why did just because we have a couple influences, you want to say that we just purely sound like influences? Name me the band, because I think we sound like Weezer and shit. So that's never mentioned. So it's just like, fuck you. That's something that's annoying with us, is that like people can't seem to be like, they just sound like it's fucking our album that came out. Like people like, it just sounds like a bunch of their influences. I would like you to name me one song that sounds like Dark Black Makeup, you fucker. Yeah, that kind of shit.
Clearly I've hit a nerve here, but like I totally get that, because I feel like people just kind of confuse like influences for just like copying. I don't know if you guys know like Rick Rubin, the producer, but he had been talking to Pharrell about the whole thing with blurred lines, and how like, there was like the whole thing with the lawsuit because it just sounded too close. But he was just like, he just didn't pay enough attention to like the vibe. It's like, it's a vibe. It's not like the notes were the same. It's not like, you know what I mean? So it's like, sure, it might like make you feel a similar way, but like also if it's people that inspire you, why wouldn't it be that,
People have yet to name me the song that sounds like any of our songs. So there's that too. So it's like, please name me this song and I can tell you that we sound nothing like that.
It's like honestly truly pretty hard, because I a couple times like when I'm trying to like recommend you guys to friends, like what do they sound like, and I'm like, well, okay, the guitar's on this album, but then like, and you just have to like be putting a bunch of pieces of things together. But it's like also just because it's rock, and it's like, well, if you use distortion and it sounds a certain way, like that's the only way that I can like be trying to put a label on it. But even then, it's just like, why bother? Just listen, So what's your favorite song that you guys have written individually? Whether it's like because of lyrics or actual like your individual parts.
I really love our new song Seas. It's not out yet, but I think that's one of our best songs, and it'll be coming out at some point on our new record.
Yeah, Seas is a pretty good one. Also, another one, Underground.
Yes,
it's so much fun to play. It's just sounds so different.
We're really excited to put the new music out, because we're just talking about new songs no one knows about.
Yeah. I'm definitely like hyped to hear. I at this point have lost count of the number of times that I've just like played everything that's on your Spotify. So it's like anytime there's more stuff, it's just like that's that shit. So I'm definitely hyped for that. I know that the rest of the band is hyped for that too, like the rest of my band. So what has been your like biggest inspiration for the new stuff you have coming out?
Listening to a lot of old music, a lot of stuff like the Beatles, a lot of stuff. I mean, that's obvious, but like the Who, we're going to do some kind of classic rock kind of stuff. But then on the other side, we're listening to like a bunch of like the talented creator stuff, and like Wu-Tang Clan, and like Tribe Called Quest, and Billy Joel, like a little, Steely Dan, all kinds of stuff. Like this album is crazy influences, because we just listen to all kinds of new music all the time, and the more we hear, just the crazier our music is starting to sound. Sly and the Family Stone. Yeah.
Nice. So I guess you guys probably have a little bit of funk roots in there too.
Yeah.
So I know this is like almost a given because it's like one of the most talked about things, but would you guys want to just talk a little bit about like your beginnings in music? And I know that you kind of got started out with your dad's record collection. Could you just expand on that a little bit?
Just starting with our dad's record collection and growing up in St. Joe. One of the main key factors was when he brought home that movie School of Rock, and this just had this is an amazing soundtrack, and the movie basically just makes you as a kid want to start a band, and that was just super inspiring. So that's a huge factor. This is a huge moment, was seeing that movie and hearing those songs, and then that's when that happened. That's when like the full record collection becomes like open,
Definitely. I feel like it's kind of funny because with music and your parents, it's like there's some people that are just kind of like, yeah, my parents just like listen to trash and like make fun of the stuff that I listen to. But then a lot of the time it's like, even if you
think you feel that way, there will always be like that one thing. You're just like, I would know who this group was if it wasn't for my mom playing it every day in the car for the first 10 years of my life or whatever. But that's like pretty cool. So I know that you guys didn't start out like playing the instruments that you play now. Can you talk a little bit about that and like what made you switch?
Yeah, for instance, I started off playing the drums, and I was self-taught. I taught myself how to play the drums, and then I decided to take drumming lessons, and that kind of started because all the math that I had to, that the teacher was trying to get me to learn in order to play. I just wanted to play the songs, you know. And then I just moved on to guitar and kind of stuck with that.
Yeah, I wanted to play guitar, obviously, at first, and I didn't practice enough, so I ended up giving that up, and then it seemed easier, so here I am.
Yeah,
That is hilarious.
I tried guitar and keyboard out, but that didn't work out in the beginning, so that's how I ended up on drums.
It's kind of like weird when I think about it, because like for a while I felt like the only person who felt that way, because like I play a few instruments, but like when I was a little kid I was like, I'm gonna be a rock star, I'm gonna play the guitar, I'm gonna shred, and then like I actually started learning, and it's like I have a pretty decent grasp of like how to play, and like I got pretty good at like memorizing chords, but it's just like I don't have like, I just never like practiced enough to have like the soloing skills that would have like made me like reach the level that I wanted to. And then my friend just literally gave me his bass. He's like, I want to focus on learning how to play the drums. And I'm like, okay. And then now I'm like, this is probably harder than it would have been on the guitar, but I guess I'm just like more driven. So that's I guess it's just kind of like where your head's at type of thing, because you know, drums is a whole other thing to me. Like that's just a lot going on. So hella props to you, Saul, for like doing any of that, but like also doing it so well, because even doing some of the like more simple rhythms can just be hard while you're trying to keep time while moving your entire body. It's a lot. But so what have you guys been listening to like recently? Like what do you guys have on repeat?
I've actually been listening to The Chronic. They put that on Spotify, and I listened to it for the first time a couple months ago. I've been listening to that a lot. Igor, I listened to Lil Dicky's album. Yeah, a lot of just rap stuff for me.
I was the other day I was listening to KRS-One.
Oh yeah, that's
Good shit.
Also, I listened to Chance's first album recently, and I've been getting and then solo stuff quite a bit. So that's been the main stuff I made recently.
Yeah, I feel like listening to other genres is like, I mean, it's just nice in general, but it's also like helpful when you're trying to write, because it helps you like think out of the box.
Is to listen to all kinds of music.
Yeah, I feel like even just kind of like trying to play different types of music has been like hitting me, like how important it is. Just like, you know, like I usually personally I play with a pick, but it's just like for my band's usual stuff, but it's like I don't want to like not learn how to use my fingers, you know. It's just like being well-rounded can never hurt, but also it's like just a really good learning experience to have, I feel like. So you guys earlier were talking about how you didn't get booked at a venue because they didn't book rap groups. And that's kind of like what I want to use as a segue right now, just because I do want to touch on just being people of color in the punk and alternative scene. It's something that I feel like people don't necessarily like realize what the situation is when they're not in it, but it's like you just kind of end up showing up to a lot of places where like you're the only brown person in the room, And like, you know, it can have some pretty serious effects even when it goes all the way up to booking. So what's you guys' experience has been like, especially living in the Midwest?
Well, I would say that that St. Joe thing at Hammerjack was actually one of the only real kind of problems we had. Like ever once we got the I mean, you know, we've had issues with like getting signed and stuff. Like that's been a huge problem and always has been when coming to people understanding a black rock band. Though when we went and recorded our Cat and Mouse Rec Room session, there's just a video, sound, everything. You could see it happening in front of you. Like, okay, these are black people. They are playing rock. Okay, it sounds good. This is cool. We could get signed with that. And then that's the thing. Like, that's some of the issues you have to deal with. It's like, get the shit packaged and explained just perfectly, or you may not get signed kind of stuff. And, you know, when we had our label situation recently coming off of Sony, you know, it was pretty much a no from so many labels just because they didn't want to pretty much give money or, you know, sign a black rock band. So, and that's a lot of these labels, by the way. So we're just doing our own thing and it's mad successful. We're just going to keep doing our own stuff, say fuck them. And, you know, we'll do our thing to help black people kind of be able to obviously be able to play rock without getting questioned constantly why you're not a rapper. How did you discover rock? I'm an idiot because I don't understand that black people created it. It's that kind of thing.
I feel like that's like my like favorite, and that's sarcasm, thing when people like want to bring up the whole like white and black music, and it's like, well, if you're even gonna go there, that's not even correct. So please, like, read a book before you come at me with that shit. But it's like people just don't. So I feel like at this point, it's really just like partially like education that we should be kind of like pushing a little bit more, because a lot of the time people just don't know, and it's like wild, but it's not like they're necessarily going to bite your head off for you telling the truth and like explaining.
Yeah,
I'm definitely saying?
These black things, like it's been worked on to bury this information. Like, people don't know that black people started the shit. People seem to not remember Jimi Hendrix very much. It's like, who did it? Who started it?
Yeah, so much so that we get people literally saying, "Oh, you're playing that white people music,"
just
or
wrong.
"You're playing that white people music." It's like, what?
It's just wrong.
Excuse me?
It's just wrong. And
wrong.
who buried the info is what I want to know. Let's find him.
I mean, I feel like we already know the answer, but it's definitely like, it just irks me. It gets on my nerves, but it's also like, I'm glad to be like in like more into the music community now, because I feel a little bit more empowered, because there have been just kind of like more people openly not giving a shit about like what other people think. And it's like, I can't really say that I was necessarily a person who like cared that much to begin with, because I like listened to Bullet for My Valentine anyway. You know, it's not like it stopped me from being me, but I guess I just at this point like just want to be loud about it. So it's like pretty cool to have like people like you guys and just people just kind of like scattered throughout the scene to just kind of be like, hey, like we're doing it and like we're really good at it because we care, and that's all that freaking matters to begin with. Like the biggest thing with you guys, I feel like you just sound so good. Like you just sound good. Like anybody who knows nothing about music can hear 3 notes and just be like, they're killing it, whether or not like they like that type of music. So speaking of your sound, what do you think contributes the most to you guys? Like, do you think it's like, you know, like between gear and like maybe your chemistry being brothers?
I would say it's just the fact that we've grown up together listening to pretty much the same kind of music, and our taste for generally pretty much the same. So we all create songs that we all really like a lot, and that's pretty much just what it is.
Good stuff. So since we're in quarantine right now, it's rough for a lot of reasons for a lot of people, but how have you guys really been doing, and what are you doing to kind of like look out for yourselves and take care of yourselves?
Pretty much just, you know, we recorded the rest of the album. we got a Radkey garden going. We're someday maybe gonna just grow all of our own food, or at least know how. So we're learning a lot of stuff from the pandemic, and like you just want to know some things, and write new music, and you can still get in the studio. Like, it's definitely like a rough time, but and we miss the road a lot. But it's more like just hoping that everyone's okay and wanting this to be handled better than it has been, as far as just everything. Like, let's clean it up and get everyone taken care of and stuff.
Yeah, man. Being in Florida, I cannot agree with that enough. Just be nice if we could get somewhere and not pretend that just nothing's happening. But I don't know if I'm asking too much, because I know that we are wild and out down here at all times, whether or not there's a pandemic. So. But have you been doing any reading? Have you found yourself picking up any other extra activities other than learning how to grow food?
I mean, not too much. I mean, the growing stuff is pretty big. I can't think of anything new besides we watch some new movies. Check out new movies that come out or whatever. I watched Coco the other day. That was fun.
No way! I literally just watched that, and my mom was she fell asleep. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna watch this, and she fell asleep. I'm like, at least she fell asleep so she didn't have to see me bawling my eyes out. I haven't seen this 4 times. It's so good. But it probably also hits because it's music, which that's just guaranteed to make me lose it a little bit personally. Speaking of bucket lists also, I know that you guys have played crazy huge festivals and shared stages with people that I just didn't even ever assume that I would be able to see live. That's possibly a pipe dream. But is there anybody that you haven't been able to see that maybe whether they're a bigger name or a smaller artist?
Raconteurs would be fun to see.
Yeah.
Would love to see. What else? I mean, we've seen so many bands we wanted to see. It'd be fun to see Steely Dan again.
Steely Dan.
I don't know. I mean,
yes, because we've
seen so much. Yeah, it's pretty much we've seen it. The only ones we didn't see Metallica very close. It was so far away in Germany. So
oh man.
Metallica show, but we've even seen Iron Maiden and Megadeth. It's insane. We've seen everything at this point. Pretty much everything.
That's wild.
And we're talking about just rock, though. Obviously, a whole other scene of shit to go check out.
So who would you put towards the top of your list that's not rock?
I don't know. I mean, I would love to see Tyler the Creator live.
Yeah,
but,
that'd be cool.
We're just fairly new into some of this new music, so I don't really know. Pretty much lots of stuff. Lizzo would be fun to see. That SNL is amazing. Taylor Swift would be fun. I don't know.
Dee's laughing. I don't know if that's an eye roll or a same.
Beyonce would be amazing.
Beyonce would be.
I would like to see Erykah Badu or what is it? No, that's not who it is. The one from Kansas City.
Oh,
Janelle Monáe. That's what.
Oh my god, yeah. I've seen videos of some of her concerts, and she's just such a queen. It just hurts. How are you this perfect and talented? So what was it like to be able to perform with some of those bigger artists, or just to even be on the same lineup, whether or not you had an opening slot for them?
It was a big honor, just because it's just cool to be kind of taken in by those people and then raised up to a level of kind of what we would consider just graduating from being a baby band. We're finally being talked about around names like Jack White, The Offspring, you know, things like that.
Definitely.
The Offspring.
Which that's also sick as hell. Like, I feel like they were one of those bands that influenced me like so much more than I even realized, just because I was listening to them when I was so young. And then it's like you get, you know, you hit your like 20s and you're like singing along to every song.
Yeah.
I guess this is where I am. Like, so with that rising fame, our drummer and singer Cece and Ethan just like wanted to give you a shout out because they saw your video on Off the Air.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you knew about that.
Totally, that's amazing. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
Loved it. That was always one of our dreams ever since I remember seeing that show and loving that show. So to get on that show was great.
Because it's just such a like, I don't know. It's I feel like it's just like such alternative and like creative work that's just like actually on cable. So it's so wild. And you know, you end up being exposed to it from a younger age and like growing with it. And it's like obviously with like technology and everything, it only gets better. And like that video was already like a cool ass video that is probably like one of my favorites from you guys. So like to see it in that environment is so are there any other places that like you would be hyped to, like any other like festivals that you would be hyped to play, or like any other like programs that you think it would be like dope to be on?
I mean, back in the day, it would have been cool to be on Conan, but I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. Festivals, can't really think of anything. I mean, like, I don't know, we never played Lollapalooza, like, but like, we played so many festivals. Festivals are just like, you know, big outside show, you know?
Yeah, man, that's probably like what I'm missing the most, low key. Like, as much as I do love, you know, our little dive bar type environments, it's also just like it had already been a really long time since I had been to a festival before lockdown. So I was just like, I've made a mistake by not going to any of those.
Yeah,
but
for things to be safe and for everything to come back, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, and you know, it will like be. It's only rough because, you know, it's like, oh, suddenly I have to be in my house all the time. But even for me, it's not that bad because I kind of like being in my house a lot. Even right now, I'm like at my mom's house, so I don't even have to like cook, like do anything. Like nothing's expected of me, so it's kind of nice. But I know that I'm in like a better situation than some other people. But so what's it like to have your dad as your manager?
I would say it's really cool, smooth, like, you know, just we all, you know, have been around each other for so long, you know, so going on the road is really easy, just kind of, you know, taking it on the road.
So I know that it probably helps that like you're a family, because I feel like one of the most difficult parts of like touring with a band would probably just be like the fact that you're just like stuck in close quarters with your friends, that like, you know, the same way that you like, it can be hard to have roommates that are friends because like you just don't get along when you have to like see each other all the time, but it's like you already like know how to deal with each other, so it's like that you don't have to even like fight that battle. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, not smooth.
Definitely. So what do you have any like tips for bands that are going out on tour, like do's and don'ts, things to remember?
Bring flushable wipes, lots of those. That's nice. Be nice to the sound guy. If your sound's not sounding super crazy good on your stage, it's just probably the shitty venue, you know, monitors. Sometimes it's good to just be chill, and actually you'll get the best sound out of that. And so yeah, accept that you're not going to have perfect stage sound all the time is something that you should know early, especially as an early band. You're not going to be getting good stage sound or even good sound checks. So I hear opening bands or young bands trying to get crazy about that stuff, and it just makes me laugh because it just lets me know that they're not going to make it very far. Because if that's something you can't get past, then kind of see you later on that. But there's stuff like that. I can't really think of anything else besides like play every show like it's like the best, biggest show ever.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get. You never know who's going to be in the audience.
Definitely. I feel like a big part of that also just goes to, just like how you treat other people, which, in this day and age, in these current times, it's like the more I think about it, the more it's just like, I don't know how to convince you to care about other people, so I feel like just as long as you're actually just treating people with respect, like you're just that alone will get you pretty far, and the rest is just like your talent, dedication, which you guys obviously have.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you would tell your younger selves about just kind of since you started out so young and you probably didn't know as much even with your dad as your manager, just because part of it comes from experience? Is there anything that you would tell your younger selves, if you could?
Never eat earlier than 3 hours before your set.
Do I want to know why?
Then you have a shit in your stomach ready to come out.
Yeah, that would be a little bit rough.
I would say if you start working with a label as something not to ever believe that those people are your friends in any way.
Yeah, I'd definitely say my younger self to pay more attention to the business side of things and kind of keep on that.
Good stuff. Well, really appreciate you guys talking with me. Excited as hell to hear that you have new stuff coming out, and we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Do you have like any type of like release date in mind yet, or just a general idea?
September-y time, something like that.
Okay, pretty close. Sounds good. So, thank you. And I'm going to stop recording in a second. Any last words? Sounds ominous, but I don't mean it that way.
The last word is join our Patreon for more exclusive Radkey content. We're going to be going crazy on there.
Hell yeah. Word.
All right, well, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. You should be on the lookout for new Radkey in September. If you haven't already, don't forget to check out our Full Bloom music video and our EP, Nervous Laughter, which is available for streaming on all platforms. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. Drop a comment, tell us what you think. What do you want to see on NoHandouts TV? Who do you want to see on NoHandouts TV? We're all ears. Can't wait to share more with you guys. Just let us know. Thanks for watching.